You know, viewer, there are so many things in this life that happens and we wonder why they are happening. But sometimes if only we knew what other people elsewhere go through, we'd probably take the seasons that we go through more positively and probably less complain. My time in Kigali, Rwanda, this time round, has taught me that there are people who go through more troubles than I do. I couldn't believe that out of 35 bishops and pastors that I had for a whole week for the leadership training, that most of them are struggling with their churches having been closed by the government. Of course, the government has their own reasons for closing the church. They say that they gave the churches notice 5 years ago, and now it is time to close down those that have not met the requirement. But it was so sad to have 1,500 churches closed that week while I was there. And some of them belong to the delegates that I was training on how to accelerate the spread of the gospel. Well, there seems to be a wave in Africa to close churches. The explanation sounds very good. Talks about protecting the people from crooks who have taken advantage of members, which makes a lot of sense because sometimes we hear stories and we also feel embarrassed to even be identified with some of those people. So they talk about people's risk and health, security, things, many things. But it is so important that we realize that the church is the backbone of the nation, of the society. It is the conscience of a nation. And if we continue with this wave of closing churches from one nation to the other, very soon, the continent of Africa will be the dark continent that had been mentioned and foreseen by the early missionaries. Because without the light of the gospel, then the continent will be dark and doomed. The church plays a significant role in the as a moral fabric of a nation. It plays a major role in praying for its citizens and those who are in government. The church plays a major role in the development of a nation. Churches like GOA play a significant role in the education with the primary schools and high schools. Churches like GOA play a significant role in taking care of orphans and the vulnerable in children's homes, the widows, and developing unleashed areas with boreholes, engaging the youth through sports and creativity. And many other churches play a significant role in building the economy of a nation. Some churches have got very big business empires like guest houses, hotels, which they employ the people. So when we talk about closure of churches, I think we need to be a little bit more careful that on how do we balance between the fake and the real, the good and the bad, the genuine and the fake, because it would be very unfortunate if a nation like Kenya goes the Rwanda way, and unfortunately, the people who are given the task to investigate on church regulation of Kenya, sadly, the only two nations that they keep mentioning that they went for benchmarking, one of them is Zanzibar and the other one is Rwanda. Very sad, very sad. If the benchmark of the framework for the regulation of the church that we are having in Kenya today is meant to drive us the Rwanda way or Zanzibar way, then we are doomed. But one thing I know, the Kenyan church will never take it easy. They will never accept just simply because the worship is a fundamental right of every person. And as much as we would want to protect And I am a strong advocate of the fact that every right comes with a responsibility. I know very well, especially having gone through the Shaka horror, I made significant contributions myself to the task force on behalf of the Federation of Evangelical and Indigenous Christian Churches of Kenya, and also on behalf of GOA as a peace-loving Kenyan citizen, as an educationist. I know how important it is to regulate, or rather to have a balance between extremism and the real religious practices. But we must be careful that we don't go to the Rwanda way, where it becomes like having a church is like a business where you have to really prepare yourself, take loans to build certain high class churches, buildings, fire extinguishers, parking roads, air conditions. I mean, just difficult situations. We don't want to get that direction. But of course, we do not want to expose our people to the vulnerability of people who are going to kill others like we have experienced before. The greatest question is, how do we strike the balance? Meet the people of Kigali, see the excitement of the people. In the mornings, I happened to walk around and I was so impressed by the worship of people. I could hear the music coming from some places, people who cannot go to the churches, but they were gathering in their homes, could hear the music. Is it time probably that we get the church back to the upper rooms, our homes, where we are? Of course, history has shown us that church thrives better where there is persecution, like China and other places like Pakistan and India. But of course, the church doesn't have to be subjected to that to grow. It can also grow organically, spontaneously out of the response to the Holy Spirit. And if God has already delivered the people and given freedom, religious freedom of worship, then we wouldn't be thinking about going back so that the church can grow through persecution. I learned not to take for granted my nation. I came back loving my nation more, even though they are having those conversations of church regulations. My viewer, may the Lord bless you. Rwanda and Kigali is a clean nation. It's a beautiful place to be. Security. The buildings are well structured. Corruption is less, if any. But when it comes now to the question of the church, I think there's a problem there. And I pray that we don't go that direction. To my friends from the West, Switzerland, United States, this situation that is cropping up in Africa, led by Rwanda, gives you an opportunity to help build the church in Africa to be stronger. If the requirements that the government of Rwanda needs, which is what the Kenyan government and other governments in Africa are going towards, is something to go by, then you can sponsor a pastor to an accredited theological college to get a degree. That's one of the requirements. You can sponsor a church to buy land because it's one of the requirements that the church has land. Help them build a nice structure. That's one way. It's a door open to help the church grow instead of weakening the church through closure. And I pray that some people will change their strategy to empowering the church in Africa to reach their own people. In Kenya, for example, the government has given us the strategy for childcare, national childcare by 2032. In this reform, the encouragement is to close the children's homes and take the children to the families, foster care, adoption, community. If that is going to happen, it means then that we need to empower the church so that they're able to take care of their own people. Empower the church through economic income generating activities, SMEs, so that they have food for themselves and to feed other people, build them some bigger homes where they can bring in an additional child, furnish those rooms with an extra bed and pray for a foster child. That is the way to help the church, to help itself. And I do hope that somebody will take this opportunity to empower the church to reach their own, to make disciples at a time such as this. May the Lord bless you. Thank you. God bless you. Looking forward to hear from you.